Hello, my name is Rev Terry Little, and I just want to come clean. Making YouTube videos is not my forte. My thing is being up in front at the podium and celebrating our oneness together, celebrating the energy and being with all of you. Yet, here we are, making a video, and hope it goes okay. So the name of my talk is Awakening the Sleeping Giant and the Great Realization. What is the sleeping giant, and what does it have to do with the great realization? What if I were to tell you that we may be closer to a world that works for everyone than we've ever been before? Challenging concept in spite of our current conditions on the planet, right? Maybe things need to get really bad before people will wake up their sleeping giant. On a personal level, I know that was the case for me many years ago. From Ernest Holmes in his book, This Thing Called Life, the power of God within us is like a sleeping giant, which must be awakened that it may spring into action. Most people spend their entire lives living up to the mental self-images of who they think they are, instead of from their higher self, authentic self, or sleeping giant. The higher self is a place of utter simplicity. According to Richard Rohr, perhaps we don't want to go back there because it is too simple and almost too natural. It feels utterly unadorned. Remember the simplicity of being a kiddo and going out to play? Remember the freedom of just riding a bike, swimming for hours, and playing with your friends? There was absolutely nothing to congratulate myself for. I didn't have to prove my worth, much less my superiority. I was just me. So after years of trying to live up to our false mental images of who we think we are instead of living from our authentic self, it will at first feel unknown, maybe even weird. For me, I always felt like I needed to make things happen instead of just allowing life to unfold. A Zen master would call the true self the face we had before we were born. It is who we are before we've done anything right or anything wrong, before we've even had a conscious thought about who we are. I just absolutely love that, and it really just speaks truth for me. When we've gotten too comfortable with our false images or separate selves and we believe it is the true life, we can get trapped at that level of consciousness. We will hold on to it for dear life because that's the only life we think we have. Unless someone tells us about this bigger life, or you've had a conscious connection with your core self, that deepest part of your being, there's no way we're going to let go of that separate self. But the attachment to the illusion of the separate self must die. Our physical being and our spiritual or higher self are one and the same. We need to acknowledge that sleeping giant, the bigger life, the authentic self, the higher self. In religious science, when we say we are perfect, whole, and complete, we are describing the true self. Now, if you would indulge me for a minute, just close your eyes. I'm going to read that again. In religious science, when we say we are perfect, whole, and complete, we are describing the true self. Imagine, it is like a crystal reflecting the invisible light of heaven right here on Mother Earth. It is in everybody. And if we could see it, we would see billions of points of light coming together that would make all the darkness, all the cruelty of life vanish completely. We would then be able to see oneness. When we are living from our true selves, we are able to look upon others with love and compassion, and not just the people who think and believe like we do. We are all in this together, regardless of our differing religious, political, and social beliefs. As human beings, we all want and have the same basic needs for love, safety, security, financial stability, and the right to religious freedom or lack thereof, and just the basic desire to do what we want to do. The challenge is that we see the path to attaining and keeping these basic needs very, very differently. Hence, the divisiveness of our country and our planet. Our fellow travelers are our teachers, even if they don't even know it themselves. May the world be our inner mirror of the beauty and kindness of our souls. If we don't like what's reflected back at us, whether it be resentment, anger, fear regarding the pandemic, social injustices, the constant bombardment of hate. There are many ways we can reach out for help. But first, there is a principle called spiritual bypass. That is acting as if everything is okay so as to appear spiritual. This is a mistake, people. In our challenging times, let us have our great realization. Since this pandemic started early in the year, things have gotten progressively worse. The race consciousness is one of fear and anxiety, right? Unless you live with your head in the sand, we are all touched in some way. Acknowledging and becoming aware of our feelings is the first step in having our great realization. After recognizing the feelings and emotions, we can simply say, okay, I'm feeling whatever it is. We are not victims of our circumstances. We can ask ourselves, how can I co-create what I want to think and feel? Authentically navigating the stress of the pandemic, social injustices, the fires, the divisiveness of the political arena means avoiding putting up walls between you and others. Open your inner windows. Practice sacred listening. Listen deeply and compassionately to others, seeking to understand even if you don't agree with them. Think about how you want to feel inside versus just being right. Have a conversation with others who believe differently. We are actually one. Live by this golden rule. Condemn no one and do your best to bless where you cannot help. Then maybe, just perhaps, we will all have a great realization of how we want to live in harmony. Live in harmony in a world that works for all beings. So let's awaken the sleeping giant and envision the world that we want to live in. We do not need to do big things. Mother Teresa stated this concept so eloquently. Be faithful in small things, because it is in them that your strength lies. From outward appearances, our planet is a hot mess. Another way of looking at the conditions we all find ourselves in is in this. Have any of you ever heard of ecotastrophe? Something extraordinarily good coming out of a bad situation? J.R.R. Tolkien invented the term and describes what he believed is the essence and highest function of fairy tales. It is a sudden, unexpected, joyous turn. When the pandemic first started, most of us were sheltering in place. People from all over the planet came together. There was this wonderful Facebook page called From My Window, and it was just awesome to hear people express the same hope and faith for the future while sharing and enjoying the view from wherever they were sheltering, hence the view from my window. Not a fan of fairy tales? Okay, how about silver linings or blessings in disguise? From the Pachacuta Mesa tradition, Pachacuta, which means world upheaval, is a time of transformation. We're certainly living in that now, right? Reverend Michelle Pauls describes it as a plow going through a field, turning over the top layers of dirt before new seeds can be sprouted. Ever drive by a field that's being plowed? The dust is 20 feet in the air. It's a mess. Yet the soil is being prepared for the seeds that will sprout new life. Could this be what is happening on our planet? Are we in a period of regeneration? What I know to be true is that God, Spirit, whatever works for you, is in and through everything and every situation, including the virus, the fires, social and racial injustices, and yes, even the White House. We are living in a time that we must trust unanswered questions and unknown outcomes to a knowing God, a power in the universe that knows only good. Today I know that the healing presence of life is within all of us. Let us commune with the invisible presence that peoples the world with the manifestation of its life, its light, and its love. Let us withdraw the veil that hides our real selves, our sleeping giant, and draw close to the Spirit in everything and everyone. May we anticipate everything that is worthy of our souls and accept everything that belongs to Spirit. I claim everything that partakes of the nature of the divine reality. This is the great realization that I claim for myself and I claim for all of you. I invite each of you to know with me that all is well and all manner of things shall be well. God is with me and the universe is for me. I know this and I am at peace. And in closing, again from Ernest Holmes, this thing called life. Where God is recognized, there is life. Where God is realized, there's action. Where the goodness of God is acknowledged, and where there is peace, where there is goodness of God is acknowledged, there is peace. And so it is. Namaste. Many, many blessings. May peace be with all of you.